to welcome to stage our next panel discussions. So please, we're going to bring in conversation of implementing AI. This has gotten very interesting for every industry. So let's talk about AI with our next panel guest. Please, let's learn about medical data analysis and how AI plays a huge part. The CEO of CureLeads is going to be moderating it. So please put your hands together for Mohamad Rammal. Please come on up, Mohamad Rammal. Implementing AI and machine learning for medical data analysis. Mohamad is coming. All right. Come on up. Yeah, we're waiting for you. She's a moderator? You're the moderator. Okay. New information. I love this. All right. Come on up. Tadashi, is that you? No. Juran. All right, let's try it. Third time's a charm. Juran Kato, come on up. Looks like information changed. Happens at these events. Welcome. Announce everybody and please introduce your panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon. And it's been a long day and an exciting day. I know that everyone's tired due to travel schedule, but good news, this is the last session. In this last session, a team with diverse background will walk you through how AI is used in the value chain of drug discovery, and we will touch upon the power and issues with AI. If time allows, we'll speak of future with AI. Let me introduce a panelist, Tadashi Miyahara. Raise your hand. He's a founder, and then he's a CEO of ACCELStars. And then may I also add that he's a serial entrepreneur. Previously launched a startup for data management, handling the real-world data. Which was successfully acquired by one of the largest real-world data company called JMDC in Japan, and then later, recently IPO'd in Tokyo Stock Exchange. And second speaker is Mohamad Rammal, CEO of CureLeads, and then he has decades of track records in life science. He's a previously leader in regulatory science in Novartis Oncology. And then another expert is Ravi Ramaswamy, CEO of Ravi Consultants. He has a track records of life science over 40 decades, including his contribution in GE and Philips. And George is a consultant for data security and contributing to a medical society across the globe. And then lastly, myself is Juran Kato, and then I'm leading a small startup in Japan, which is a spin-out from Takeda Pharmaceutical, currently developing a drug for rare diseases. And then let me share with my story why I became entrepreneur. There are over 7,000 rare diseases. Only 5% have access to medicine. I think innovation is more about delivering drugs for those people who need. Even there's a drug, if it's $1 million drug or $0.5 million drug, that's only for limited countries, limited people. And our approach in GEXVal is to rediscover shelved assets in pharmaceutical company. Japanese pharmaceutical is one of the leading companies who deliver new medicines. And then we have to deliver affordable medicine to rare diseases. The way we do is to reprofile and then combine that data with real-world data and existing data to rediscover the opportunity in rare diseases. So tell me, Tadashi, with your experience, how you worked on real-world data discovery.
1, 2.
Get it on? All right. Here's one. Here's one. You guys got it on the bottom. You're going to have that little.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. Real world data is very important to develop or implement the AI because to accurate AI, in order to accurate AI, the data is the most important because AI is generated from the data, especially in deep learning. So, I think data is classified into two types. One is the data quality. The second is data quantity. And I think the most important is the data quality at first, because generate the data, the AI from generated from the data is not accurate, not accurate. So at first, I think the most important is real world data, nice quality, real world data. Yeah.
What are the challenges you are facing during the curation or cleansing of data?
Yes, in order to create good quality data, our company is a sleep technology company to utilize the AI. Our company developing the process to create cleansing data. Now we have the 5 steps of cleansing data. It's very important to develop the accurate AI system. Yeah.
What kind of people are involved in data cleansing process?
So first of all, thank you, Juran, so much for moderating this session. I really appreciate it. Just to build on Tadashi's story, what we're doing in CureLeads, so we have licensed one of the diagnostic tools, which would enable, as a point of care, which enable physician and lab specialist with a simple drop of blood to diagnose or to detect whether a patient has a trait of thalassemia or sickle cell disease, or a carrier, or a patient, or a normal, right? And this is a very important topic in the Middle East region, because this is a region where there is a lot of genetic problems, abnormalities in the field of hemoglobinopathies. So the interesting part when we had this project and we want to bring it to the region, what we faced initially that, this is a simple IVD, that the question was, AI plays a role in developing an algorithm, because here, the traditional approach was to use the big lab HPLC, high performance liquid chromatography, right? And now we're replacing the HPLC with a simple machine, less than the size of a laptop, which can do the reading in a matter of 8 minutes, okay? So we brought the machine in, we start to really to commercialize it, and then we start to really try to detect based, of course, on the clinical utility. Now, what happened is that, at certain level, so the machine, we had to do some local validation. So the more you give the system, the system the data of the algorithm, the better it becomes more efficient to detect. And we had a very narrow therapeutic window, which is a hemoglobin of 3 to 5%, which is critical to really define whether the person, and we're not talking about patient here, the person has the trait or not. And why is this so important? Because simply premarital test is mandatory before any marriage, to really to avoid 2 carriers to marry and then have a child that is a patient. So with the importance of the algorithm, with the no more data that we brought from the Middle East, So we have upgraded the software, and then that software was able to detect that level. So it is really important that even at the clinical stage, but even at the time where you start to bring it into real life, the concept of AI and the data integration becomes a kind of across the whole loop of the life cycle of any product, and this is very, very important. So this is one of the experiences that we have lived in our at CureLeads.
So I can take over now. I'm George Kavvalakis, CEO and founder of Blacktrack Consulting. I have more than 15 years in the healthcare industry, but I'm the tech guy. I'm cloud and security specialist. I'm also a certified Microsoft trainer. So what I'm gonna say, it's around, basically Microsoft technologies and all my knowledge around that. So Microsoft Cloud. In this case, I need to add on what my colleagues said here that, the more data you put on the system, the more data you feed it, the better results you get, okay? The main systems on the back need us to provide them more information, more data to achieve the best level possible, even on the earliest stages of implementation or design or development.
I think we looked at the genesis of what an AI is used for. We saw what security is needed. We also talked about the quality of data. Now let me give you two instances of where an AI is actually used to bring in benefits. And what I really want to do is to first touch on a clinical use case, and the second one is more on the productivity side. Let's go with the clinical first. If we need to do a MR scan of a brain, a good scan takes typically about 40 minutes. Today, there are softwares available by which we can do an underscan for a 20-minute scan and then reconstruct the balance of that last 20 minutes using software. Thereby, you are reducing the trauma for the patient because an MR machine is very, very claustrophobic and creates a lot of sound. So in that perspective, we do have AI by which we are able to get the same quality of the image without compromising on the features, at the same time reduce the time by almost 50%. Given that the cost of a good MR machine is over $1 million, you can sort of calculate what the productivity gain could be on the financial side, as much as what the clinical gains are for the doctors and the patient experience. That's one portion of it. The second one that I would possibly want to touch is on the productivity aspects. We did do a tool development for one of the Middle Eastern states wherein we were able to prioritize chest X-ray screening for the immigrant workers. There are about 2,000 scans that happen every day. And we said, let's sort of do a very, very simple analysis of what is normal and what is not normal. Typically, when you look at TB profile in this region, about 10% of them have TB, the balance 90% are normal. So what we said was, let's do a scan of these images. About 2,000 images were coming in every day. And then out of that, about 200 of them would be non-normal and the balance would be a normal one. So by doing so, we were able to create a work list with a percentage of confidence saying, yes, for the first 10, I'm 100% confident. For the balance 10, I'm 90% confident. So you have a graded sort of a thing. So when the radiologist walks in and opens the modality work list, he is able to look at what are the ones that needs his attention the most, and the balance of the 90% which are normal, he doesn't have to spend much time on it. Customer wrote back to us saying that they have seen a 35% productivity gain. So if we really put AI to use in the manner that you described in terms of having good data and building up your ground rules, your golden rules very, very well, I think the impact and the benefit that it can actually get for you is significant. Not to talk about the decentralization of care, which is anyway out there.
Yes, Ravi. So when I started my company, use of AI is more about increasing efficiency and power. by using AI technology, we identified hidden opportunities, and then indeed, our discovery, the drug candidates just entered in clinical study in Australia. So we made it happen to shorten the time to deliver drug for, to develop drug for half time. But then what I'm hearing from Tadashi and then Mohamad is AI is not about just about efficiency, but also something that we cannot do without AI. So there's some uniqueness of AI. Can you elaborate more about it?
Absolutely. And let me again share with you another story on this topic, which is very, very important from a scientific and clinical value. So we're also working with a company, European company, that work in the field of endometriosis. And endometriosis is a problem, it's a gynecological problem that impacts mostly the young females, okay? Now the time to diagnose endometriosis, because the doctors, they go around to do scans and MRIs, and then eventually they end up with advanced stages to do what we call a procedure called laparoscopy. They take the tissue out and they detect. That time to really do all this journey ranges between 8 to 10 years. And the lady during that period, faces a lot of pain with every menstrual cycle. It's a very vague, and doctors, they don't do much about it because they don't have means and tools to really be able to detect so early, at an early stage, whether that person has endometriosis or not. Now what happened is that with the advancement of genetics and epigenetics, the researchers, they were able to identify the microRNA that can decode endometriosis. So out of the panel of 2,500, they were able to detect what are the microRNA that can truly define whether that patient has endometriosis or not. Now, all the predictive analytics of the diagnostic, be it the scan, be it the MRIs, the best they can make up to 75%. And to Ravi's point, sometimes the doctors would do laparoscopy, and 1/3 of the patient, 27% of the patient, they end up doing laparoscopy with a very high cost and unease for the patient, and the patient has no endometriosis. So the AI came into play here. So the researchers, they did the clinical study, they integrated the big pool of data from the AI system, and they were able to detect with a clinical trial of 800 patients up to a 98% accuracy and sensitivity of the test to detect endometriosis. So imagine you're moving from 70% accuracy to a 98% accuracy with integrating the big data plus the clinical trials. This is transformational. This is transformational. And guess what? The time to diagnose went down from 8 years to 20 days. To 20 days. This is the first of its kind of approach. And I'm just sharing one experience, one example of how the use of AI can significantly transform how medicine is being practiced.
In fact, you know what? I'm tempted to pick up on what you said. There is a technology called as amide proton transfer, which is usually used for detection of brain lesions. Now, let me ask you a question, Juran. I have two cases. One is an 8-centimeter lesion in the brain, and the other one is an 8 mm lesion in the brain. Which one do you think will require a surgery?
8 centimeter.
Okay, now that's what the normal philosophy says. But when you do an amide proton analysis, you might find out that the activity, the veracity, or the way that the tumor spreads, the 8-centimeter one is something that is going to take a much longer time, and you don't have to interact with it now. You can just leave it as it is. Nothing much is going to happen. But the 8 mm one, which is out there, can actually spread like forest fire. So, and that is the one that might require an immediate opening of the skull and taking the lesion out. So, suffice to say that without opening up and doing a biopsy, we can have conclusive evidence of how a tumor is going to be treated, even at the least cost and the least trauma to the patient. So just to sort of add to what you said, we can do the entire analysis using non-invasive techniques rather than even touching it up.
That's a very impressive story because AI is not just the data management, but more application in clinical stage especially for imaging has so much power. So in my case, my asset is soon finishing phase 1 study and then entering to phase 2 study to measure efficacy in pediatric patient or possibly 16 years or above in a disease called Rett syndrome or Fragile X syndromes. Both are measured by questionnaire. So we will require some objective measures, and then we realize that Tadashi has a very good solution, possibly has a solution to such, more objective measures.
Okay. Regarding Rett syndrome, the famous symptom is tremor. And now we are developing our own wearable device to detect tremor through the acceleration meter. And if the algorithm is deployed to the real world, I think we can develop the new treatment for the pediatric patients, because currently drug is the target is the very general symptom. But if we can detect the real time, I think we can develop the new treatment called companion digital therapeutics. I think the digital therapeutics is very important in the near future. The companion digital therapeutics is a chemical drug with a medical device, yes, such as a wearable device. Yeah, I think.
So once during the development phase, if AI is applied, then eventually we have to enter the regulatory discussions. Do you have any insights around the regulatory?
Yeah, I think this remains one of the challenges, really, to try to develop the regulatory framework, because we know in medicine, be it a pharmaceutical or an IVD, this is a very regulated market. So this is not like a free commodity, right? And historically and traditionally, this has been based on the evidence stemming out from clinical trials. Now here we are trying to twist the model a little bit. So we're still having the clinical trial evidence, but in a way this has been maneuvered to really integrate the element of AI to improve the accuracy and the productivity of the data set, okay? We have faced that challenge with some of the regulators in our region because, even though you bring, stringent regulatory approval from different, reference countries, but they would always ask, you've got to get also local validation here. And I'm not surprised about this because, with anything new, any new concept you want to establish, people initially, they become hesitant and they have the moral responsibility to our patients. We as well, we do have the same. So I would definitely not debate this, but I guess that there should be an ongoing dialogue with the authorities as well as with the clinicians, because even doctors as a mindset, they still believe, whether I'm a radiologist, for example, in an imaging setting, is this gonna replace my job at some point? How is this gonna pan out? So I think this new concept, there is a lot of still unanswered questions. There are a lot of unspoken questions now, because that has to do with the data, to do with the outcome, has to do with the human factor, and these are all need to be put on the table in an open way and have a dialogue with regulators, policymakers, physicians, as well as other stakeholders and insurance companies. So for sure.
I can jump in on that one. Generally, the providers, most AI solutions are being hosted in a cloud provider like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, whatever. What Mohamad says is a fact. Generally, providers try to help all the companies go to the cloud and use AI technologies in their infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. And there, they have all those regulations and all the policies that are different in different areas of the world. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to help each case to be able to work, like to be compliant. And yeah, because we had a discussion with Mohamad earlier on, right now we need to do an analysis to check if, let's say, a specific solution is can be supported in this area of the world. But generally, a discussion should be start with the governments and the policy creators, because technology moves very fast and everything else goes slow. Okay, so we're talking about AI, and that's why I'm also here about the part of security, protecting the data, because we're creating solutions right now, but do we know if we are protected? Do you know if any of your application or systems cannot be compromised tomorrow? No. So, yeah, that's the data privacy also, it's part of it. The anonymization of the data, it's also part of it. So the whole thing to protect the data and being secure and stuff like that can need to be discussed with the authorities, because this will help also, to move forward in terms of regulations and government laws.
I cannot agree more with you on this, George, because when WannaCry hit us a couple of years back, we know what disaster it caused for us in terms of bringing the entire hospital systems down. Any free port gets attacked, and the medical data is like gold today. So the consequences are disastrous. So I cannot agree more with you in terms of weaving the entire security from the development perspective, starting from the day that you want to start thinking about the product to the time that you go and launch the product in the market.
Yeah, because imagine that you have done all that much work, and suddenly one hacker is a bit bored at his house and hacks everything. Data breach, trying to sell the data. Right now in Europe we have the GDPR, so you know that you'll be fined because someone hacked in your system. So right now the whole idea has a lot of, it costs, okay? And we need to protect the data as also the solutions.
There was another incident in Germany, and this is even worse, where the hacker was able to get into a patient monitor in an intensive care unit and start changing the parameters of the patient. Now, if that happens, that can be a disaster. And that's all the more the reason why we really need to be extremely, extremely careful in terms of designing system and securities around it.
And I guess just one thing, Juran, just to complement what the colleagues are saying. I think even the model, okay, traditionally has been a sequential model, meaning we go phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, post-marketing, tuck. Here we're talking about a little bit different approach. We talk about an integration model, a kind of a circle model, because what George mentioned is so crucial. You cannot dissociate, that element of security, the element of data privacy across all stages, So that can also, we need to think about how the model of product approvals or regulatory approvals need also to evolve. So there is a lot of hype about AI. There is a lot of validity, and it really has proven its concept. There is no doubt about it. The question becomes now about regulations. It's about applicability and how this is going to transform also the model of and the design of how we do clinical studies and product approval.
So the learning today is that AI has been used from discovery stage to development stage to deliver the product stage. Although it, yes?
But also
Sure.
the operation stage.
Operation stage.
Yeah.
And then it's been used for to enhance efficiency, although it requires so much of energy for data cleansing and then education and then validation and then quality control. And then it's not only for one-way direction, but like integrative process. That means we require multidisciplinary team to continue the loop. And then AI is something that can make it possible, impossible possible, like what you said, to be able to measure unmeasurables in future. But then the question would be, I mean, my question to audience and then to the floor and panelists would be, do you think AI is helping us when it requires so much of burden to make one product? Or do you think AI is replacing us?
I think let me sort of just start here with another example, okay? AI is not a panacea for all the problems that we have. Take, for example, a computational pathology case. What you basically do there is you take a tissue sample, you do a biopsy, you take a tissue sample, you stain it, and then you put it onto a scanner, get the digital image from the scanner, and then you run your algorithm to see if there is a malignancy, and if so, what is the subtype of cancer, what's the level of malignancy, and stuff like that. Now, when you take, in the case of radiology, AI is pretty well defined. But when you look at computational pathology, the number of parameters that come in is significantly large. Like, for example, there could be differential staining of slides. Not all slides needs to be stained uniformly. Different scanners could pick up those stains. Like, for example, a Leica could do differently, a Hamamatsu would do differently, a Philips could do differently. So when you do that, the type of images that you get is different. And then you're using the same algorithm to look at these differential images and then do interpretation based on which a surgeon is going to make a tumor board portal, is going to take a call on the patient. That's a difficult one. So will AI provide a solution in all the cases? The answer is may or may not. It will evolve over a period of time. But then at this point in time, can it solve everything? To me, the answer is a no. But will we get there? Absolutely yes, at some point in time. But what the AI cannot replace and will never ever replace is the empathy and the trust that a doctor and a patient has. That cannot be replaced.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely on the last point, definitely. There's no doubt the emotional part remains there, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings, right? I want to be a little bit philosophical here, and bear with me on this one. So if you go back in history, 150, 200 years ago, when the first industrial revolution came in, it really replaced the agricultural part. So the human moved from agriculture to industry. And that has significantly created a new dimension about how the world will look like, because a lot of jobs were lost because of the machine introduction, but at the same time, a lot of jobs were created because of that at the same time. Okay, so this is a defining moment in history, in human life at that time. Now, when we are now entering the fourth industrial revolution, as they name it, with the introduction of AI, I think the science and technology, it's an inevitable matter. I think that's something we should not be debating. The question becomes, and there are lots of pros and cons and different views here and there, but the idea is, what is the outcome? What is the desired outcome here? Today, data are facts, and facts are cold-blooded. We are human, we have emotions, right? But at the same time, doctors make mistakes, right? When they diagnose, it happens. Or not because, they want to make mistakes, because also sometimes it's a capacity issue. Doctor, radiologist, if I take, for example, the breast cancer model, right? The breast cancer diagnosis is on the rise. 1 out of 8 females, they will at some point develop breast cancer, right? And part of the technologies is really to do the first scale of screening is mammography, right? There is a lot of mammography tests coming, and the number of radiologists is very finite in each and every market. That is creating a major capacity issue. So instead of having 2 radiologists reading and then not able to really do all the scans, and because of that also make mistakes, having a radiologist plus a machine learning, whatever you name it, software, AI, whatever model, that would improve the outcome for the patient. That would also make the system more efficient. That would also enable the doctors to do something else. So I think it remains a big question. It's unsolved question, but definitely this is something that, we are heading toward that direction. The question is how we deal with it rather than we negate it. But that's my personal position about that.
So my point of view is that generally we don't need to be afraid of AI, machine learning, behavioral analysis, whatever goes in this chain, because the whole thing is still a baby. Its AI application is still learning. It has a lot to learn still. And the current need that we try to cover is to reduce time, to help everybody, the professionals to be able to work faster and more efficient. So I can say that they won't be replacing us, but rather that we will evolve, We will work together, and at some point, maybe, when I started in IT, I was having, servers, setting up systems, stuff like that. Now everything is in the cloud. Initially, it was like, oh, what we are going to do? Are we gonna stop putting, CPUs and RAMs in the systems? Yeah, we evolved. We became cloud experts, DevOps, new professions that came into the whole idea of IT, and this will go to every aspect of life, including healthcare.
That's interesting because I never had an answer if AI is replacing us or not. But what I'm hearing is that AI and then us are complementary to each other. Quite interesting view. Any last minute thoughts?
From my view, the 2 important jobs of medical doctor can be replaced by AI. One job is a diagnosis, because AI can work 24 hours, 5 days. So I think one job is diagnosis, and the second thing is choosing drug, choice of drug. Yeah. Because if the patient information can be detected from the wearable device, we can develop the algorithm for choosing correct drug. I think it's a very important view. But other jobs cannot be replaced by AI, I think.
Let me give you one example, Tadashi-san, to sort of complement what you said, okay? I don't want to agree with you on all the occasions. So let me go a bit orthogonal to this. There was this case of a boy who was suspected with food poisoning. They tried all sort of things. They did all the tests in him. They looked for pesticides, which was not there. They looked for allergens, which was not there. They were sort of struggling to find out where that poison actually came from. Then they realized, saying that this boy had picked up a gene from a roadside vendor, and that vendor had got the gene transported in a fertilizer truck. Now, from the fertilizer truck, the chemicals was picked up, and through the skin, from the gene to the body, the chemical transfer happened. No amount of AI can ever detect these sort of scenarios. This is completely out of the world. So we need to be sort of discerning where AI can be used and where AI cannot be used. And at the same time, I think the world is heading to a point where we need to be AI enabled, just the way that we are digitally enabled in the financial and in the telecom world. So I would possibly leave it at that.
And just to mention, we just said it just one word, that AI is also on the operations, not scheduled operations, but the everyday stuff that the people do, creating reports, calling patients, for the next appointment, stuff like that. All this can be reduced by using AI, machine learning, and generally all the analysis that goes behind that. So besides the medical part, that's the most important, we can reduce time by using such tools, such artificial intelligence, with everything else besides the main job.
So I believe there are medical doctors on the floor, and they would like to open question or discussion.
Perfect. Amazing. Give him a round of applause, guys. Great way to come to an end for day one. I wanted to leave, you see a few minutes are left for questions, right? Our audience likes to ask some questions. And now it's the end of the day, so now you can. Please join us at the microphone with any questions you have. Come on up. Don't be shy. First one there is a winner. Welcome. I saw you all day sticking in the audience. Thank you for being here. Who are you and what's your question?
Hey, so my name is Ran Zielka. I'm the Chief AI Officer for Twill Health. And I want to thank you, first of all, for a very, very interesting discussion. I promise I do have another question. It's not just a statement, but two observations. One is that most of this discussion was focused on detection, prediction, analysis, and so on. What was absent potentially, maybe a little bit, is generative AI. So the ability to generate human-like text, human-like conversations, for example. And then related to that, there was a statement made here about it will never be empathic, or I forget exactly how it was phrased. So as a person leading a team who is entrusted exactly with this problem of creating conversational AI that exhibits a therapeutic alliance, I want to ask you, first of all, if you think providers that you know are always empathic and always compassionate to their patients. And secondly, what do you think about generative AI that could exhibit those properties? And wouldn't that be, what your thoughts are on this exploratory and innovative thing that is starting to happen commercially now? Thank you.
Well, I can say about, but Microsoft has already built a conversational AI, and besides that AI, you can connect medical databases, so the patient or whomever, or even the doctor, can go and have a real-time conversation with a bot, AI bot, and get real-time answers from that database. So for me, this part has been, as part, it helps also the doctors and the patients, but it's also on the operational stuff that AI covers as well. But okay, in your case, you might take this to a couple of steps forward and to manage, even better results. But nevertheless, conversational AI that will make, us go to Facebook, let's say, and send the message and start a discussion that a couple of companies are doing right now, is being not built, it's already there, but it needs more information. As I initially said, we need to feed the model to make it better, and from that point on, when those models are rich with data, then you and all the other companies can take these ready models and put them on their own solutions.
I think if we really look at multiple options, like for example, Nuance, or if you look at Dragon, or you look at RPA, the robotic process automation, where the bots have taken over the BPO world, you'll find that there is a transition to conversational UI interfaces, and that's a very, very hot topic, Doctor, that what you talked about. Is it out of realm? The answer is no. Like for example, Google Translator. You speak into it and it gives you the stuff. Now the question is, has that been applied to the medical world? I have not seen it yet, but it's only a question of time before we have another startup which sort of perfects that part of the story and makes it available to the larger audience.
I think what we are talking about is science fiction becoming a reality. And then actually we were working on natural language processing and then how we digest a diverse range of different data we can see in life science. My understanding as of today is that we will require a certain skill to be able to talk to AI. You have to educate yourself that you use AI-friendly questions to AI. But someday, I believe there will be a merger between, there will be no boundaries between the AI language and then our language. So I'm hoping that a brighter future comes ahead of us.
Fantastic. All right, we keep the conversation going. Do we have any more questions for our panelists? Come on up to the mic. Come on back from the back of the room.
In fact, before he asks, Coke does the interview on first 3 levels of interviews are done using robots.
It's coming. Yes.
Hi, I'm an engineer, so very relevant. I built diagnostic and medical devices, diagnostic systems and medical devices. So this is a very different question. Like at this point, is there any domain, any subdomain in diagnostics or in determining prognosis that you would say, personally say, look, I don't buy AI in my office at this point of time. Anything that you hate AI for, you don't like AI for? Or you are seeing problems coming through AI?
Repeat the question.
Sure. Can you repeat that question for our panelists, please?
So any specific subdomain or any specific thing, any experience that you had while using AI in your life, with your patients, where you say, look, I am not comfortable with AI in this particular case. But have you experienced any failures in AI in your career, in your life?
Great. So the question was, did you experience any failures? I want to make sure you guys got it in your life with AI.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. Who wants to hear? What was it? Your microphone's on?
Before I let Mohamad, I will start that AI starts by failing.
It starts by failing. Okay.
Failing is experiencing. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, we have that. I mean, we faced it with the thalassemia trait detection. So at certain point, the algorithm was not able to detect a certain range of the trait. But then with the more data, with the algorithm development, that has improved and the accuracy was there. So, but I don't know whether we call that failure or we call that part of the process improvement. It's difficult how you categorize it, but I guess the question of AI failure for me becomes a big question if there has been a complete misdiagnosis or has been different outcome on the patients, which is something yet I haven't come across such kind of data at the moment.
Let me sort of address it slightly differently. There are 2 parameters that are widely used to talk about the quality of AI. One of it is sensitivity and the other one is specificity. Never ever can you get an AI with 100% sensitivity and 100% specificity, whereas the human brain can at some point achieve it. The AI that you build is contingent on a model that you are using for building the AI, and that is a finite set. There could be corner cases which were outside of what the AI the caseload was actually used, and therefore the prediction of that, suppose, like for example, if you are building a AI with say 100 data sets, there could be a 101st and the 102nd which is outside the realm of what the 100 is. And at that point in time, the predictivity of AI on those sets is a question. So will it fail? The answer is yes. And that's where the AI is always used as an advisory and not as a definitive line of treatment. The final call that is made by the surgeon final call is made by the physician. And we have not come to a point where an AI can make the final call in terms of what the diagnosis ought to be.
I think one thing I thought of is AI learns based on existing data. If the existing data is biased, AI could be biased. So there are some examples like AI could give a biased answer. But is it a failure of AI? Maybe no. It's a matter of how we educate AI. So it's more about like how we train, how we educate them, not AI's failure itself. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So human interaction is key to AI advancement, I think. There's no doubt.
Well, we need to put unbiased data in the
Yeah.
model, and we will never have 100% accuracy. 98% or 99% is not 100%. There's 1 or 2% of failure.
Statistically, we can look at all of this, but that 1% means a loss of life to an individual, to a family, and there it is 100%. So that's, I think that says it all.
Absolutely. And what a way to end day one. Give them a round of applause. Great AI panelists. Thank you for our panelists. Stand up. Let's take a great picture of you guys. I see you getting rambunctious. I hear talking in the audience. Everyone's ready for what's coming next. We got a great networking activity coming. You guys have been incredible experts from around the world. We're talking about the globe, and we're talking about health around the world at Health 2.0 Winter Edition. Hashtag Health2Conf is how you're gonna post on social media on all the channels so that we can find you and share your content and let people know who you are. Let them find you, right? You are who Google says you are. So let's make sure Google has you at this event in Dubai in December 2022, coming to the end of a very eventful year. Thank you, panelists. Great, great, great job. We loved having you up here. So as they say goodbye, unfortunately, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for your great knowledge on stage. We loved having you here. What a wonderful day. Day one is full of information. We really went across the board talking about anything and everything in health and that addresses health. And I want to thank every single one of you for being here and in my audience, and you online as we stream live on YouTube. This is amazing. Not only do we have experts from all over the world, we have people engaging in conversation that is shaping the industry for tomorrow. So before we sign off, I want to wrap up the day with a final thank you, a big thank you for our silver sponsor, Burj Hospital in Abu Dhabi. We couldn't do it without you. Professor Dr. Abdul Rahman Ahmed Omar, we appreciate your contribution to this great event. So please give him a round of applause for helping make it possible. It's been an incredible start of an event. We have 2 more days. 2 more days. Who's coming tomorrow? Raise your hand. Great. And we got day 3 as well. Lots of great expertise, great recognition to really let people get the opportunity to shine on stage. And I thank every one of you for being participants in my audience. As I mentioned, I hope you find yourself challenged, inspired. I hope you're learning new things, and at the end of the day, I hope each and every one of you are having a fun time while engaging and connecting with your industry peers. So from a show of hands, who's connected with people on LinkedIn today? Who's connected with one person? Keep your hand up. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, keep your hand up. 5 people, 6 people. That's it for today. That's your cutoff. That was your threshold. 7 people. Anyone over 7? Because I'm going to give you that target. 7 from the panelists or people you met walking around. Well, guess what? Fantastic. 7's my lucky number. And as I wrap up, right is outside these doors is our networking opportunity where you can take that number and increase it for day 1. There's hundreds of people here today from 6 different industries, and I want you to make the most of it. So thank you. Without further ado, enjoy tonight. Enjoy the networking. I'll see you tomorrow. My name's Rachel Muleman at askrachel.info if you're looking for me. I want to close with every day is a chance to get stronger, every day to eat better, and to live healthier, and to be the best version of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank you from Health 2.0 for being here. Have a great evening and enjoy Dubai, one of the best cities in the world. Thank you, everyone.